So I got home just like a little bit earlier than I usually do. So I did I'll just rest my eyes before making dinner.
What a mistake!
Like, even I know that's a lie. Like, I know it.
You know what I've done before when I'm like super tired? I'm like, if I just close one eye, I'll feel better if I do that. And then I just end up falling asleep. It's like the dumbest thing ever, which I ended up doing. Okay, I have to confession time. The second episode, Bow Fight, I got to the part where they confront the guy at his apartment. How much more of the episode is left after that? I'm hoping not much because I fell asleep. And I was trying to get Hulu to work and it was just not working. And so I'm ill prepared.
Oh no, it'll be okay.
I know.
We can just like talk about it. Sounds great. Talking about Happy Endings, which is an ABC comedy show.
Yeah, and I want to ask you, what made you choose? Because we were talking about this for a little bit, and like, what show is it going to be? Blah blah blah. And you landed on Happy Endings. So, what brought you to that decision?
Well, it's like a little cult comedy show type thing. It was like got like a lot of critical praise, but didn't do great in the ratings. But it also has like a lot of great comedy people like Adam Pally and people I thought you might like. So I thought we might enjoy it together, hopefully.
Yes.
And if not, we can disagree about it, and that'll give us stuff to talk about.
Okay, speaking of disagreements, so we're gonna go over the first two episodes. It seems that the episode order is all jacked up on Hulu. So you sent me like the real order. Is that the order it aired, or did ABC just move things around?
So ABC aired the whole entire first season besides the pilot out of order. It even
that's like a Fox move. I didn't know.
It
ABC
even aired the finale out of order.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it mixed up a lot of season 2 episodes as well, season 3, and there's even an episode of season 2 that's like in season 3 that I'll have to find out where to put it.
What the hell? Why do they do that? They did that with Fox shows too. I remember there was a show, I forget what it was even called, but it was like a guy and a robot in a police car. I don't remember, but they aired the episodes out of order, so it made no sense. As I was watching these two, the first episode he gets left by his fiance, and then the second episode he moves out. So how does that make sense? It is in the list at like number 11 or something.
Yeah, some people tried to speculate why they did this in season 1, and people were like, well, one of the main characters leaves her fiance at the altar. Maybe they wanted to do some more fun episodes, make her more likable. But then they did it for like every season, so I think maybe they just didn't care.
I think they probably didn't care. No, they're like, it's fine. I mean, and when you think about like old TV, everything's so episodic, but this seems more like it has a continuous story, so I'm shocked that they would do that.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was still like a kind of beloved little show, but it wasn't helped by all the continuity is not great.
Not great.
We'll be watching it in order. So
yes. Does it get better?
Yes.
Okay.
And watching these episodes now, there's parts even I didn't like of these first episodes. It's sort of like a Buffy season 1 type thing.
Oh God, say no more.
But yeah, it's like a very short first season, and they kind of reboot it in the season 2 premiere, but this will just give you a sense of the history, whatever. And there's not all that many episodes, so.
Yeah, there was a few moments I liked, and I think I'm just bitter and old, but I'm like, do I have to watch young people having fun right now? Like, I don't know. It seems very like, I'm an old hag. Anyway, but like young pretty people having little adventures. I don't know. I was just like not as engaged with the characters, but I think that'll change as I grow to know them a little more, you know?
And I think like all the female characters, like personality-wise, change quite a bit from the pilot where we first see them.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
Well, and I do like Casey Wilson. You're right. There are a lot of good like comedy people in this show. Adam Pally, I don't really know him for much.
And he was on the Mindy Project.
Oh yeah, the Mindy Project. He was so good in that show too.
And a bit of a podcast guy, right?
Yeah, he's been on Comedy Bang Bang a few times as the bro like pothead character. So yeah, I'm familiar with him and I think he's pretty cool. I'll give it a chance. I'll give it more of a chance. It seems almost like Friends or How I Met Your Mother or like a more glamorous Seinfeld. I don't know. It's like I feel like I've seen this sitcom before, which is not a good thing necessarily, but I'm hoping that it'll grow. I do like Adam Pally's character a lot. I like, oh my God, what's the guy's name? He was Coach in New Girl. I forget.
Damon Wayans Jr.
Damon Wayans. I was going to say Damon Wayans, but I was like, that doesn't sound right because I know who Damon Wayans is. But Damon Wayans Jr., yeah. I like him a lot. I think he's a really good, like, physical comedian. I enjoyed the part in the second episode where he just, like, his pants fly off and he's just, like, carrying Chinese in. I thought that was really funny, but I don't know. So let's get into it then. Pilot episode. So this episode is when the happy ending, I guess the happy ending is like a play on the fact that they don't get one, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Dave and Alex's wedding. Dave is Zachary Knighton from Parenthood. And then it's Alicia Cuthbert. I don't know how to say her name.
I knew I recognized her. She's in
from,
like a bunch
24.
of like... Oh, man, that's where it is. And I was thinking of like The Girl Next Door or whatever. Like I recognize her. I haven't watched a lot of 24 though. But she seems pretty cool.
Yeah, and so basically a guy rollerblades into their wedding and she runs out of the altar. And then there's also Eliza Coop who plays Alex's sister Jane. And she's like was on Scrubs and Benched. Type thing. So she's Alex's sister. Jane is married to Brad, Damon Wayans Jr. Casey Wilson, who's like Saturday Night Live, and she's also got her own podcast. She plays Penny. She's like the childhood friend of everybody. Adam Pally is her ex-boyfriend who's part of the friend group who is gay.
Yeah.
So that's the cast of characters we're working with.
Yeah, and, you know, she walks out, and apparently, you know, it makes the friend group dynamic a little strange at first, but they resolve it by the end of this episode that they're going to try to keep the friendship alive because, you know, they have a bunch of mutual friends, and they don't want to be the reason why it stops working. That's the main thrust of this episode, right?
Yeah. Do you have any favorite quotes from the episode? Because I wrote some down.
Please, I want to hear them because I'm so bad. I'm gonna start taking notes. This one I kind of like.
Dave was writing thank you notes for his wedding cards. It goes, darkness reigns, hope gurgles out its dying breath. Yeah. Thank you for the beautiful crock pot, which is how I'll be writing thank you notes from now on.
I mean, that's wonderful. I should have done that for mine. Actually, I didn't even write thank you notes, which haunts me to this day.
Oh.
Yeah. That's like a thing I wake up at 3 a.m. and I remember and I go, oh, fuck, I never wrote thank you notes. So I'm sorry. I know you gave me a nice gift too, and I never wrote you a thank you note. So I'm going to just say it right now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Then there's one that I'm going to go and bawl my eyes out, and then I will be back to physically fight you. That's from Penny, Casey Wilson's character.
Nice. I like that.
So, yeah.
Are those the two good ones from that episode?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you fall in love with it immediately when you watched the pilot? Was it something you were like,
no.
Okay, I'm hooked in?
No, I warmed to it over the course of the first season because I like these people type thing.
Yeah.
Well, eventually over time.
I mean, that's what it's all about with a show that you get really involved in. It's all about like having good, consistent characters that you enjoy, you know? So I'm looking forward to really like learning more about these characters and getting more invested in their relationships. It just has not happened for me yet.
It is something that builds over time. Casey Wilson was obviously on Saturday Night Live. Adam Pally's a comedy guy. Damon Wayans and Eliza Coop wrote things together. So it was their comedy people, and then their bits got worked into the episodes.
Nice.
Like the writers would see them on set doing these riffs, and then the riffs would start making their way into the episodes.
Awesome. So I bet like that just gets better and better throughout the series.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. And like the subreddit, there's still people who are like, oh, I hate, it's gone. I can't believe it. And people love this show. So I know that eventually I'll get hooked in. But yeah, that was the first episode, the pilot. Do you have any more notes about that one?
I'd say of the episode, my favorite character was Max, even though I felt like his hitting on Penny's boyfriend got to be a little much. It was
Yeah.
like a little tropey. The gay guy's always hitting on the
Yeah. They do
other
defy
guys.
some of those tropes with that character, though, as the series goes on. He's more of like a total slob. Like,
Yeah, he's more
dude,
like a bro.
bro. Yeah. And you'll see that in the next episode, which is Bow Fight.
Basically, Alex and Penny have some girl night stuff. Dave and Max go to beat up the guy that ruined Dave's wedding. Jane and Brad have a date night. And so
Yeah.
we'll go through the episode, but I do have a couple of good quotes.
Awesome. I want to hear him.
I heard it in a book I heard.
That audiobook life. I know what that's about. That's funny.
And Go Sharks.
Ghost Sharks is pretty good. I like that too. One thing I wanted to say is that chef, is it based on like Guy Fieri or Fieri, however he likes to pronounce it? Or I guess it's just like a hotshot chef, the one that's like running the class.
It's got Nat Faxon from like Married and Ben and Kate, and Michael Rady is also a guy in the cooking class from like Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants and
Oh
stuff.
my god, that movie has a special meaning for us.
I know,
But
that's why I brought it up.
We'll reveal that on a future episode. Just get your little fan theories going, and then we'll deflate them later.
So basically, Alex and Penny go to a cooking class together, as you mentioned, and Penny's kind of hitting it off with this guy, and then Alex talks him into going back to his ex because she's also going through something.
Worst wing woman ever.
And they like make up, but I guess because Alex has been monopolizing a lot of Penny's time since she broke up with Dave because she has no one to hang out with anymore. She used to be with this guy for years, and so she's not used to being alone.
Yeah. Which that'll happen if you're together for what? They said like 8 years.
Yeah.
Jane has a little freak out. Jane's her name, right? The one who's...
Yeah.
Yeah, she has a freak out of like, love drift. What the... Oh, that's what we do. We sit in our, sweats and watch reality TV and eat takeout. Like, so she kind of panics about that and is like, we have to go out and do things and be more exciting and engage. And she tries to like have some real moments of vulnerability and stoke her... What is his name in the show? I keep on saying Damon Wayans. Brad. Into like sharing intimate details and making it exciting, and it totally like flops.
I feel like she went about this in like a really weird way, and like she didn't tell him this plan until after he got home.
Oh, absolutely. And she threw away the Chinese food. I lost my mind.
Wasteful.
It's so wasteful. At least put it in the fridge. And also, I'm just of a different mindset. Like, that's my favorite part of a relationship is just like, hey, let's like just chill out and watch TV. So, didn't quite relate to her. More related to Brad, I guess.
Like, yeah, maybe it is how she usually feels, but her sister got in her head.
Yeah.
And then also, she didn't even bother to make a reservation.
She's just like, let's go.
And she had been like, she had this freak out in the daytime and then went to the restaurant in the nighttime, did not make a reservation.
She had time. Yeah. Yeah, she was a little, I guess, overzealous or, like, not well prepared. She should have been more open and honest, right? That's the moral of the story.
Yeah, like, her character does remain kind of, like, type A intense, but, like, in a good way, not in, like, this crazy way they have her in this.
Yeah, where she's like insane. Yeah.
But I will say Jane and Brad are like one of my favorite married couples in all of television.
Nice. Okay, I can't wait to see that. They go on to have a good
marriage. But it resolves with basically Brad basically assures her that they're not like Dave and Alex. They're going to be fine. They're Jane and Brad. And she accepts this. And it's like, great.
And then the other plot line is like, it's getting rowdy over at Adam Pally's place. I keep on saying actors' names. Eventually, I will get their names. Yeah. They're getting all rowdy. They're getting drunk. And they're like, let's just go. Let's just go beat up that dude. And they're amping themselves up. They're like, what would Steven Seagal do? And they end up confronting an old woman at the door. And this is where I fell asleep.
Dave and Max go to beat up the guy who ruined Dave's wedding. Dave starts to feel bad for the guy because the guy also got dumped by Alex,
Yeah.
um, which is stupid. But Max decides to go and fight him anyway, and they get their butts kicked real bad.
Oh man, that's how it ends. I thought it'd be like they just see how pathetic he is and they decide not to. See,
Yeah,
and I promise I did try to rewatch the end, and my Hulu is just not working. I'm sorry.
it's totally fine. So, yeah, Dave and Max both get beat up by the guy, but it's kind of out of their systems at that point. And then at the end of the episode, everyone, all six of the friends, get together and watch The Bachelor together and
Nice.
try to be friends once it's all out of their systems.
That's cool. And so that sets up the rest of the series is like, okay, the first episode we said we're moving on, and then the second episode we showed we're just going to move on with this. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Okay. Good. This is why I was so good at tests when I didn't study. I can BS the F out of this.
And I will say Brad is the MVP of the episode because, like you said, he just like kicks off his pants pretty effortlessly.
It's great.
And puts up with a lot.
I mean, he's such a good husband in this episode. Like that, the way she was behaving, it was just like totally frantic, and he was just super patient, even though he wasn't like indulging her completely. He was a good husband in this episode.
Yeah, they are very into each other, those two.
That's good. That's great. Good. Oh my gosh. You see so many married couples on TV where it's like, ugh, my husband's so stupid, and like, oh, my wife's such a nag, and you're saying that they're not in that like dynamic at all.
No, they're really into each other, so
good. Okay, so that sums up. Did you have anything else on these first two episodes?
No.
Hello and welcome to Pals Chat. I am your host, Gina Parker, and today we will be discussing the years 1975 to 1979 of All My Children. 1975. So, Phil got Erica pregnant even though they were just fooling around. They decided to get married and move into a house together. Then Erica suffered a miscarriage and had a breakdown. Phil had to commit her to a hospital. Jeff and Mary were happy and attempting to adopt Tad when Mary was shot by a man breaking into their apartment. Mary was killed and Jeff left Pine Valley. Joe and Ruth decided to take Tad in. Charlie became ill. Phil donated blood to save his life. Ruth revealed to Phil that Charlie was in fact his son. Tara and Phil wanted to be together. When Chuck found out, he granted Tara a divorce. Link and Kitty fell in love. Kitty began working at the boutique with Anne. Kitty's husband, Hal, came to town. He revealed that he never really divorced Kitty and blackmailed her into helping him run a drug ring operation through the boutique, which seems kind of massive, but she was worried about losing Link. He recruited Claudette Montgomery to help. Paul and Anne realized they still loved each other. Paul planned to divorce Margot. Margot realized this and lied to Paul that she was pregnant. Paul felt obligated to stay in his marriage. Anne was also pregnant by Paul. Nick offered to marry Anne and raise the baby as his own. This seems like a situation where Anne could have just been honest with Paul, but whatever. In 1976, Nick tells Paul the truth about Anne's pregnancy. Paul learned that Margot wasn't really pregnant, and he leaves her to be with Anne. Margot tries to give Anne carbon monoxide poisoning, but Paul saved her just in time. Paul and Anne's daughter was born with an intellectual disability. Claudette had an accidental overdose at the boutique, leading Kitty, Hal, and Claudette to be arrested. Hal cleared Kitty by saying he blackmailed her and gave her a divorce. Phoebe and Erica conspired to keep Link and Kitty apart. When that didn't work, Phoebe hired a woman named Myrtle Lum to pretend to be Kitty's mother to keep them apart. Mona learned the truth. She offered to keep Phoebe's involvement secret if Phoebe granted Charles a divorce. When Myrtle asked for her friend Nigel Fargate to help her fake her death, they left for Hollywood together. David Thornton began working at Pine Valley Hospital. He admitted to Ruth that he was a doctor, but he was too traumatized by Vietnam to practice medicine. Ruth decided to leave Joe for David because they had been fighting over their kids. Joe needed emergency surgery. David saved his life. Ruth realized how much she loved Joe and stayed with him. Frank and Nancy began a long-distance marriage as Nancy got a job in Chicago. Chuck encouraged a sex worker named Donna Beck to get her GED. He and Frank repeatedly protected her from her pimp Tyrone. Chuck became Donna's legal guardian. Mary's brother Dan Kennicott came to town. He was interested in Phoebe's niece, Brooke English, though Brooke was secretly having an affair with Phoebe's driver, Benny Sago. Benny overheard all of Phoebe's schemes and used them to blackmail Phoebe into letting Crazy Brooke stay in town. Phil joined the police force. Tara wanted to get back with Chuck for Charlie's sake, but Chuck refused. Nick hired Erica at the chateau on the condition she divorce Phil. I don't know why that was a good option, but okay. Phil and Tara were married. Nick and Erica began an affair. In 1977, Link and Kitty got married. Phoebe began drinking and confessed her schemes. Kitty reunited with Myrtle. Shortly after, Kitty died from a brain tumor. Myrtle married Nigel Fargate and left town. Phil was shot on the job and survived. Tara suffered a miscarriage. Erica tried to keep Chuck and Donna apart, but Chuck pushed her away. Erica pursued her ex-husband Jeff, but he wasn't interested. Erica then pursued Pine Valley University music teacher Mark Dalton. Mona revealed to Erica that Mark was her half-brother from one of her father's affairs. Erica was upset by this news and cut Mark out of her life. Frank and Nancy divorced. Nancy began dating a man named Carl Blair. Frank began dating Caroline Murray. Nancy learned she was pregnant by Frank the day he married Caroline. Jeff took an interest in Dr. Christina Karras. She was experiencing psychosis. David cured her and took an interest in her. But David was already married to Edna Thornton and had a daughter named Dottie. Jeff told David to let Christina go, which upset him. Paul and Ann's daughter died of SIDS, which is sudden infant death syndrome. Anne had a breakdown and had to be admitted into Oak Haven. Ellen Shepard moved to town and took over the boutique. She hired Mark Dalton to be her daughter Devon's piano tutor. Ellen and Mark fell in love. Devon had a crush on Dan Kennicott. An ex-football player named Tom Cudahy moved to town. He opened a restaurant named The Goalpost. He saved Charlie Tyler when kidnappers tried to get him. Both Erica and Brooke were interested in him. Nick took an interest in Claudette Montgomery. Erica wanted to marry Nick, but after Mona found out about their affair, Nick was done. Erica began pursuing Tom. Donna was rejected by her parents after they found out she was a sex worker. Her friend Estelle had a pimp named Billy Clyde Tuggle. He drugged Donna to get her to turn tricks. Chuck and Benny rescued her. Benny began dating Estelle. Chuck and Donna eloped. Donna had a hysterical pregnancy. Her pimp Tyrone had already sterilized her. Phoebe was arrested for another DUI. She and Benny got closer. Ray told Joe that he could adopt Tad for $10,000. Joe was refused, but she was interested in doing anything for Tad. Ray Gardner came to Pine Valley. He wanted $15,000 for Tad. Ruth was mad at the way he scared Charlie and Tad on purpose. Ray retaliated by beating, raping, and robbing Ruth. Ray tried to sell what he had stolen from Ruth, but Phil came to arrest him. Ray knocked Phil out, but Billy Clyde stabbed Ray. Billy Clyde proposed to Estelle. Benny got in a motorcycle accident and couldn't reach her. Did I mention we're in 1978? Phoebe refused to intervene, believing Estelle was not good enough for Benny. Estelle married Billy Clyde. Devin and Dan were dating, but Dan was secretly sleeping with Brooke. Phoebe had been faking paralysis to stay out of jail for her DUI. When Phoebe caught Brooke with Dan, Brooke blackmailed Phoebe into staying in town by threatening to reveal her fake paralysis. Devin also eventually caught Brooke and Dan. Hurt, Devin impulsively lost her virginity to Wally McFadden. She regretted the experience but got pregnant. Wally wanted to marry her. After Ray Gardner was sentenced to 25 years in prison, Joe and Ruth adopted Tad. Ray escaped prison. Donna accepted her hysterical pregnancy and had a procedure to have her sterilization reversed. David decided to murder his wife so he could be with Christina. His daughter, Dottie, accidentally switched which glass was poisoned. David drank the poisoned glass and died. Christina was arrested for his murder. Jeff realized that David was plotting to murder Edna. He got Christina freed and they married. Erica decided to fake a serious illness to get Nick to marry her, but actually contracted pneumonia accidentally. Mona pressured Nick into proposing to Erica to give her a reason to live. Mark also rushed to Erica's bedside, causing Erica to realize she wanted a brother after all. Nick broke the engagement once Erica was well. Erica threw herself in a relationship with Tom and they were married. Erica wanted to become a society lady and held a gala. She got Phoebe to come by telling her that Charlie was Phil's son and not Chuck's. Phoebe drunkenly told the whole town. Nick left town. Link began dating Claudette Montgomery. Myrtle had found Kitty's long-lost sister Kelly Cole and brought her to Pine Valley. Kelly was addicted to pills. Phoebe offered Kelly's manager Eddie Duran's $50,000 to marry Kelly to keep her from Link. Eddie and Kelly became engaged. Nancy married Carl just before he died due to plane crash injuries. Charlie began acting out and set fire to a car. Phil turned him into the police. Tara turned to Chuck and they fell in love. Donna and Estelle were in a car accident. Donna forgot her marriage to Chuck but was pregnant with his child. Tara left Chuck so that he could be with Donna and their child. Billy Clyde offered to make Donna a sex worker again if Phoebe paid him. Phoebe agreed. Estelle found out and left her husband. She and Donna moved in with Chuck. And for 1979, Ray came to town to kidnap Tad. When that failed, he kidnapped Edna, Dottie, Chuck, and Donna. Phil saved them. Tara realized she still loved Phil, and Donna got her memory back. Tara and Phil renewed their wedding vows. They left town for a position in Washington, D.C. Eventually, Tara and Charlie came back to town as Phil worked on a secret mission overseas. Donna and Chuck's baby was stillborn. Jeff and Christina left for San Francisco. Frank left Caroline and got together with Nancy as he learned Carl was his son. Joe and Ruth learned they were having another baby, which they named Joseph Martin, aka Jake. Erica lied to Tom about taking birth control pills and opening a disco called Erica's. She also tried to get them to be a husband and wife modeling team. A man named Mr. Richmond, who was arranging it, tried to rape Erica, but Tom saved her. Ellen left Mark and began seeing Paul. Yet Anne was beginning to recover. Mark and Brooke began seeing each other. Dan left town. When Mark dumped Brooke, she began a relationship with Eddie Durance, who raped her. Brooke had an abortion. Billy Clyde tried to kill Benny. Benny married Edna, feeling he lost Estelle. Langley Wallingford, a con artist, began pursuing Phoebe. He fell in love with her and they became engaged. Myrtle recognized Langley from somewhere and he worried she would expose his con. Evie let Charles have a divorce. Link and Kelly discovered Eddie's body. Kelly was the prime suspect in his murder. Millionaire Palmer Cortland moved to town with his daughter Nina. Nina had appendicitis, but her life was saved by Dr. Cliff Warner. They fell in love. Palmer bribed Cliff's ex-girlfriend to lie about him to Nina. Palmer reluctantly came clean. And that's the end of the 70s. Thank you for listening. Our theme song is Wouldn't It Be Nice by Sound Mirage featuring Lady Rand. Please rate and review, download, subscribe, all the things. And you can email us at amcrewatch@gmail.com. Thanks. Talk to you next week.